When a woman feels attracted to an older man, her thoughts often move far beyond surface-level charm or physical appearance. While attraction can begin with presence, voice, or confidence, what sustains it is something deeper: emotional safety. She instinctively begins observing how he carries himself in different situations. Does he react impulsively, or does he respond thoughtfully? Is he grounded, or is he trying to impress? One of the silent questions forming in her mind is, can he handle his emotions without projecting them onto me? Emotional maturity, to her, is not about age. It is about regulation, stability, and self-awareness. She watches how he speaks about his past, especially former relationships. If he blames everyone else, dismisses his own role in conflicts, or speaks with unresolved bitterness, it signals emotional immaturity. But if he reflects with accountability and growth, it communicates depth. The first major question she asks herself, often unconsciously, is, does he take responsibility for his experiences, or does he play the victim? Accountability is deeply attractive because it suggests he has learned, evolved, and is capable of building something healthier now. She also pays attention to how he listens. Older men are often assumed to know more, but emotional maturity is shown in curiosity, not superiority. If he interrupts, corrects excessively, or minimizes her opinions, she feels diminished. However, if he listens with genuine interest and asks thoughtful questions, she feels seen. She wonders, does he value my perspective, even if I am younger? Respect across age differences is essential, and she is measuring whether he sees her as an equal partner or simply someone to admire him. Another layer involves how he handles stress. Life inevitably presents challenges: career pressure, family dynamics, unexpected setbacks. She subtly observes whether he becomes reactive, withdrawn, or aggressive under pressure. The second core question she asks is, how does he behave when things don't go his way? Anyone can be charming when life is smooth, but emotional maturity reveals itself in moments of discomfort. His ability to stay composed, communicate clearly, and avoid emotional volatility tells her whether she would feel secure long-term. She may also consider whether his maturity comes with humility or ego. Some older men lean heavily on their experience as authority, expecting admiration rather than partnership. But true emotional maturity includes openness to growth, even from someone younger. She asks herself whether he is still evolving or whether he believes he has nothing left to learn. A growth mindset reassures her that the relationship would not feel rigid or hierarchical. Financial stability or life experience may initially attract her, but she is far more attentive to how he handles power. Does he use his age or resources to control situations, or does he create space for mutual decision-making? Subtle dominance, disguised as guidance, can quickly erode attraction. She's evaluating whether his maturity feels supportive or intimidating. Healthy maturity feels calm and steady, not heavy or overpowering. There's also the matter of emotional availability. Older men sometimes carry emotional walls built from past disappointments. She senses whether he is open or guarded. Does he deflect vulnerability with humor or sarcasm? Does he change the subject when conversations become personal? She's assessing whether he has processed his past or is still protecting himself from it. Emotional openness signals strength, not weakness, in her eyes. She may also reflect on how he treats others: waiters, colleagues, family members. Consistency is key. If he's kind to her, but dismissive toward others, it raises concern. Emotional maturity shows up in character, not performance. She observes whether his kindness is selective or habitual. This tells her whether his behavior toward her is genuine or simply part of attraction. Another thought that moves through her mind is whether he seeks control or connection. Control may appear confident at first, but connection requires vulnerability and mutuality. She considers whether conversations feel balanced, whether her needs are acknowledged, and whether disagreements can happen respectfully. A mature man does not fear differences. he navigates them with steadiness. Ultimately, what goes through her mind is less about age and more about emotional atmosphere. She wants to feel calm in his presence, not confused, inspired, not intimidated, secure, not uncertain. The two silent questions: does he take responsibility for his emotions and past? And how does he behave when things don't go his way? Become her internal compass. If the answers feel strong and consistent, attraction deepens into trust. Beyond emotional maturity, she also evaluates intention. Attraction to an older man often carries the assumption that he is clearer about what he wants. She wonders whether his interest is meaningful or merely situational. Is he seeking companionship, partnership, mentorship, or validation? She wants to understand whether she is part of a vision or simply part of a moment. Clarity of intention is incredibly reassuring. She may think about timing. At different life stages, priorities shift. She considers whether their paths align or whether the age difference creates conflicting goals. Does he want stability while she is still exploring? Or is he open to growth and shared evolution? She measures whether their timelines feel complementary rather than restrictive. Emotional maturity includes respecting where each person is in life. There is also a subtle evaluation of energy. Older men who are emotionally mature often carry calm confidence rather than restless urgency. She feels the difference immediately. If he seems desperate to prove himself or overly concerned with appearing youthful, it creates tension. But if he is comfortable in his own rhythm, she relaxes. She's asking herself whether his presence expands her or pressures her. She may reflect on how he handles independence. Does he encourage her ambitions, friendships, and individuality? Or does he subtly try to shape her world around his? Emotional maturity respects autonomy. She observes whether he celebrates her growth or feels threatened by it. A mature man understands that partnership enhances individuality rather than replaces it. Trust becomes another internal checkpoint. She considers whether his words and actions align. Older age can bring persuasive communication skills, but consistency over time reveals authenticity. She is looking for reliability. Does he follow through? Does he communicate changes clearly? Predictability in behavior builds emotional safety, which deepens attraction. She also pays attention to emotional pacing. Some older men move quickly, assuming clarity because of experience. But she gauges whether he respects her emotional tempo. Does he pressure commitment or allow space for connection to develop naturally? Emotional maturity includes patience and understanding that trust cannot be rushed. Another thought involves vulnerability balance. She notices whether he allows himself to be human, to admit fears or uncertainties, without collapsing into insecurity. Strength paired with openness is magnetic. She is not looking for perfection. She is looking for authenticity. Emotional maturity is the ability to be steady without being emotionally distant. She may quietly analyze how he discusses the future. Does he speak in inclusive language, we, us, together? Or does he frame life as already fully structured with her as an addition? She is assessing whether there is room for her influence. Partnership requires space for both people to co-create direction. There is also a deeper psychological layer. She evaluates whether she feels respected or idealized. Being admired can feel flattering, but being understood feels grounding. If he places her on a pedestal or treats her as a symbol of youth, she senses imbalance. Emotional maturity recognizes her complexity rather than reducing her to a role. In the end, what moves through her mind is a quiet risk assessment balanced with hope. Attraction may spark quickly, but emotional maturity determines whether it grows. The two silent questions: does he take responsibility for himself? And how does he act under pressure? Remain central because they predict stability. If his answers are consistent, she does not just feel attracted. She feels safe enough to invest emotionally, which is the foundation of lasting connection.